All right, everybody, good morning. My name is Kadra Evans, Director of Industry Relations for Zillow. New construction. You might ask yourself, what does that mean? And it's you're kind of looking at what I do for a living. I'm kind of the external face of Zillow's new construction business. So I do a lot of speaking. I engage heavily with builder associations and just really have a general pulse on what's going on out in the industry that I can then bring back to my friends at Zillow. A little bit about me. I have a 20-plus year real estate background. When you start talking about your career in decades,
Don't do that.
Kind of terrifying. But so been in real estate in one way, shape, or form forever. Coming up on about 6 years with Zillow. I'm also licensed as a real estate agent in 6 states, and I'm Zillow's designated broker in 3 states. So when Zillow made the shift to become a brokerage and kind of fundamentally change the way we took feeds and powered the site, my real estate background really came in handy, and I kind of helped them get over the hurdles as we did that.
Can we say that Zillow's powered by Kadra?
I would love that.
Would you like that?
Gosh, that makes me feel That makes me feel so powerful. So that's a little bit about me. What we're going to do today, I'm kind of setting the stage, and then we're going to hand it off to these other experts to kind of dive in and really get into the how we're going to look at this. So I'm going to set kind of a more macro stage for you. But I think the biggest takeaway, like you said, Tim, is there's still buyers out there. We were talking just a few minutes ago. I actually sold a condo 1 week ago, we closed, in downtown Denver with astronomically high HOAs, and we never really thought we'd sell it, but it sold, and now we are 1031 exchanging into a new home. So we're searching for our next property. So, and it's the holidays, it's winter, seasonality, it takes hold, interest rates are insane, and somehow these things are still coming together. So all is not lost. Let's talk a little bit about what's next. There it goes. I don't know if you know, but we've been facing inventory shortages. I think the silver lining here is that the record low resale inventory has put new construction in a place to better compete with resale properties than it ever has been in history. Because sellers have these warm and fuzzy 2 and 3% interest rates, they're really hesitant to put their homes on the market. And so in comes new construction to kind of save the day and start meeting these buyer demands. So record low inventory is actually a really good thing for the people in this room and the home building industry in general. When we dive into numbers, I just want to make a quick caveat. I've been talking with my data scientists. Is this slow?
There's a little lag.
Okay. I've been talking with my data scientists. They want me to let you know that they've kind of thrown out those pesky 2020 and 2021 numbers. That one long year that we had of the pandemic, it's really an outlier of a market. So they have taken 2019 as kind of that baseline, and that's what we're comparing everything to, because that is their quote unquote normal market. So these are some numbers from our economic research team. If you look at the table on the right, that's our month over month inventory. You can see that it looks like it bottomed out in January of this year. We had some peaks mid-year, and now it's plummeting again. Seasonality is a part of that. Interest rates are part of that. What's interesting is that table on the left shows you that now we have this slight uptick in inventory as we head into the end of the year. Likely due to there's still net new listings coming onto the market, but we also have listings that are sitting on the market much longer than they have been for the last couple of years. So you can kind of see those random upticks as we head to 2023. Everybody's favorite topic is mortgage rates. This is a little bit older of a slide, back when rates had hit 7% plus. I checked yesterday, they're at like 6.5%. So everything's kind of hovering in that 6.5% to 7% range. Little history lesson, I think most of the people in this room probably know this, but during the Great Financial Crisis, the Fed's response to that crisis was to reduce interest rates to then they were historic lows in this 3 to 5% range. Then we hit the pandemic 10, 12 years later, and the Fed's response was a new historical low of those 2 and 3 rates that we've all really enjoyed, and we're gonna miss them, but those aren't normal. Those are very clear market anomalies, I guess is the right word to say that. And so what we're faced with is looking back to what was a normal interest rate. So if you go pre-Great Financial Crisis, rates really were in the 5 to 7% range, and that is normal. I think the challenge that our industry is facing, affordability is off the charts. We're going to talk about that later. But we also have a whole generation of home buyers who have only experienced these historical low rates, and so they think that they should have those too. Don't we wish? But that's just not realistic. And so as an industry, we're really tasked with how do we set expectations properly and educate this new round of buyers that's coming into the market.
Kedra, I think there's a really interesting psychological issue here too. If there's a 3% mortgage and 2 months later it's 6, it's like, oh my God.
Sure, it was a little bit of a shock this year. It happened in about 2 weeks, I think, in that June area.
But like you said, before 2008, there was not a period for 40 years where mortgages were under 6%.
Right.
So mortgages are kind of back to normal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel that way psychologically. So the question is how long it's going to take in a way for people to get comfortable with what today's rates are.
For sure, and you think they increased so rapidly, they must be coming down soon. So I'll just wait until that happens, and it's not likely to happen. So there's just a lot of education. I think once the market becomes a little bit more stable, we'll see kind of more of an adoption of, okay, this is our new normal. I hate the word is new normal. Sorry everybody. But I think once things stabilize a little bit, we'll be able to kind of regroup and go forth with a more normal market. Fannie Mae, I love this stat. Fannie Mae is predicting home sales are going to bottom out next year. So 2023, we're probably going to see the lowest amount of home sales that we've had. Tim, you just mentioned it, we're looking at about 5 million sales next year. That's still pretty significant. Those numbers are small, but new construction is kind of forecasted to be about 12% of the total amount of sales next year. Fannie Mae is predicting a big boom or a rebound in 2024, and they're predicting 5.9 million sales, of which new construction will be about 12.5% of that. So hopefully it's only a year of misery, everybody. We're in it together.
But you think about it, though, again, 5 million, it's not
It's a lot.
It's a lot of homes. We're only going to sell about $650,000 homes. So we have a lot of buyers out there. The question is how are we going to effectively compete against used?
That's exactly it. And we're in new construction's in a really good spot to compete, but you have to start you talked about adopting technology. You've got to start adopting technology and winning those eyeballs from the get-go. Otherwise, resale will win because they've got something you can see, feel, touch, and listing agents are adopting that technology when they're marketing their properties as well. So. Okay, NAR Affordability Index. I'm really glad my legal team is allowing me to use this because I like it. This affordability index takes into account median household income, median home price in this country, and then the prevailing mortgage rate. And what they hope the number is 100. That's the equilibrium that we're trying to achieve, meaning that the median household income earners can afford a median priced home in this country. When the index is below 100, that's bad. It means the median priced household can't afford that median priced home. And unfortunately, that's where we're living right now. This chart is small again, but basically, logically, when interest rates spiked back in May and June, you can see affordability start to plummet. And the last number on here is that September number, which is 96.6. We've got a little bit of work to do in order to get that back up so that we can. And
do you know historically when was the last time it was at 96 or less?
I don't know. I don't.
Any idea?
I don't.
Because I don't have a good context of that.
No, I don't either. All I know is that it's decreasing rapidly since we started looking at this 2019 numbers. Yeah. Okay, these heat maps, the next two slides, they're brand new. I was late in delivering my slides to everybody last week because I was waiting for our econ team to update these. So percent of buyers that are buying new construction. it's kind of the usual suspects, right? All the regions that we would typically see new construction buyers being higher. Those yellow and orange, those are your lowest numbers of new construction buyers. It's about 5%, maybe 5 to 10%. Then as it gets more mauve to purple, you're looking at about 10 to 15%. And then you've got like a Texas where it's 15+%, and it's definitely the outlier. But that gives you an idea of where everything is concentrated in the country. And this next one is really interesting. I was talking to the economist that created this heat map, and he was comparing these numbers to 2019 numbers. And so Texas is a really good example. It's a better example of a trend that's really happening nationwide. So in 2019, Texas had about 100,000 new construction buyers. And in 2021, which is this data that we've got, that was cut almost in half. So it was like 58,000 and change was the number of new construction buyers in Texas in 2021. So interesting to look at that. Last year, we couldn't even build enough homes to compete with demand. Yep. So 2019 is again that more normal market where new construction really could compete and had twice as many buyers in many markets. And those trends we're seeing nationwide. I think hopefully as we can start sort of build our way out of this, we'll start seeing those numbers creep back up. Let's talk Zillow. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you what's going on Zillow.
Well, since we're 4 blocks away from it.
Yes, we're close to the headquarters here. Best views in the whole city, but that's another story. So here's what new construction looks like on Zillow. 17% of all for sale listings on Zillow right now are new construction. That is the highest it's ever been. So that's pretty cool. New construction setting all sorts of records this year on Zillow. We're hovering around 14,000 communities. So I would say nearly all communities have some sort of presence on Zillow. We've added about 80,000 listings since January of this year. But what's interesting is of those 80,000 listings, the majority of them are made up of buildable plans. And so the only takeaway I'll give you with this, just think about it. You guys are in the same industry. Industry consultants, our industry data, our internal data scientists are seeing that buyers who are taking those next steps are actually wanting a little bit more urgency with their transactions. So we're seeing them wanting to close in 30 to 90 days. So you can see that there is definitely a mismatch with all these buildable plans that we've got on the site, but they're not meeting the demand of buyers who want to move into something more recently or sooner. And so we need more spec homes. Mm-hmm. They want to move into something that's near completion, and that just doesn't exist right now. But that's definitely something to take away in order to meet those consumer demands. Now, I will deny ever telling you guys this in this room if anybody asks, because I went to some other business lines within Zillow to find out if it's true that our leads are higher intent right now, and they told me I wasn't allowed to share anything with you. But what we're finding is, and kind of a logical thought, right, is the people that are moving forward, the buyers that are moving forward in transactions are higher intent.
I think that, that's almost a cliche in our market. In great markets, everybody's looking to buy a home. Literally, right? Because you see it in the news, right? Oh my gosh, housing, and every article, every news story, every blog, every social media post is about housing. Everybody's looking, which means fundamentally that lead quality goes down. When you're in a tough market, if you're looking for a home, you probably really need a home.
Completely. Yep.
So
it's a pretty logical thought, but I was looking for proof behind this concept of yes, maybe we're giving out fewer leads, but are they better leads? And the answer really is yes, but don't tell anybody I told you that. And other business lines are definitely able to prove that concept within Zillow. This is what I want to leave you with last. You mentioned it, Tim. There are some generations that are coming up in the home buying journey who consume goods and services in a very different way than we've ever had before. And you can no longer ignore them. There's 46 million millennials coming into their prime home buying years. That's a lot of humans. And millennials might be afraid of a phone call, but they're not afraid of an online experience. They're tech savvy. They've made all of us a little more tech savvy, I would say. And they need to be treated differently than we've ever treated anybody. So their experience needs to be at the forefront of how we're operating going forward, or you're going to lose them. And that just goes back to meeting people where they are and making sure that we're appealing to what they want. Coming up after them is Gen Z, and wow, that's going to be that's going to be an experience.
Well, the neat part is we as boomers have complained about millennials for now 20 years. And now finally millennials have somebody to complain about. I mean, this is really awesome for them.
Boomer.
I mean,
Okay, boomer, yeah. I'm really fascinated with Gen Z because I don't think Gen Z even knows how to make a phone call, but they're digital natives and they've never had a world without Amazon or Netflix or TikTok or all these things that feed them a personalized experience when they go online. And they expect consistency no matter what they're doing. So real estate's going to fall into that same bucket. And so how do we meet them where they are? I think that's where you guys are going to offer a lot of really cool tidbits, but things like self-tour. And all of the rich media experiences that you can give them online, those are going to be paramount. It's no longer a nice to have or it makes your listing look better. You're going to have these things.
and I think it's a huge issue for a lot of the aggregators like Zillow too, because Gen Z shops in social, unlike any other generation.
Right.
And that's kind of a fundamental change in how aggregators are going to have to outreach into those markets as well. So I think it's going to require change across the entire industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that leads into my thank you. Thanks for having me. But I think the general consensus is we've got to just go back to basics, but you've got to put those basics on steroids, and you've got to start thinking about the customer experience before anything else. And that starts from the moment that customer starts shopping online, and it goes through to when they find that house, and then when they're personalizing their house, and when they're closing on that house, and after they close. How does that experience translate into winning that deal? So that's
all right, so write your questions down. Have some questions for Kedra, but we're going to go immediately to Mark because we're going to have a panel Q&A here at the end. We're not going to do it by each speaker, so we're going to go immediately by Mark. And the transition here is very simple. Once you've worked with Zillow, once you've worked with Kedra and her team, and you find these 4 million people that are still having to buy homes, these serious shoppers that are in the market, that are out there today looking for homes, and you have their interest, they're looking at your property. The question is, what do they look at, Mark? And to your point, millennials are the market today. They are by far the largest segment of the market, and Gen Z is quickly going to become the second largest segment of the market. They're digitally savvy. They expect to be able to do everything online.
Every single thing on their phones.
Not
on a desktop, on their phones.
Exactly. And they're kind of a self-service generation, meaning they don't expect to get a teeny bit of information online and then have to show up. They expect to be able to be in complete control on their phone of the entire experience. To do that, you've got to have some amazing emotional and engaging content. Hence, Mark Lamoureux, and you have a brand new company you're part of now, Zonda Interactive.
Yeah, correct.
Zonda Virtual.
Yes, in January. Yeah, very proud to be part of the group. And it's interesting. When I saw this presentation first with Tim, I look at the word anxiety, anti-anxiety. And first, I was not really catching up on it. But isn't that true that anxiety has been the reason why in the past, buying a car, let's take that as an example, that it's a stressful process, right? First thing, our anxiety are saying, am I negotiating hard enough? Is he truthful? All that uncertainty of the person-to-person, non-transparent relationship when you purchase something, right? That's 70s, 80s, 90s. Today, transparency and giving back power to consumers has really changed, and it removes a lot of the anxiety that we get in the purchasing process. And unfortunately, maybe in home buying, it's maybe still a little bit there for buyers. So first thing, another word in your outline, Tim, I loved is wow. So first thing, everybody loves shiny and new. Should be unfair, right? Selling a new item versus a used item should be an unfair competition. Well, it's not always the case. So if we look at home shoppers, some survey says that actually it's more complicated to buy a new home than actually buying a resale. Maybe it's because we leave a lot to imagination. We trust people, will get it, right? We trust our model homes, which consumers are even more anxious, home shoppers, because they say, is that going to be really like the model? Personalization is the competitive advantage. Do we make it fun? Do we make it wow right up front on our website, right at the beginning? Buying a new home will be, as it was said earlier, adapting the home, that was you, Tim, having a home adapted to them instead of them adapting to a home plan just because the builder feels they should like it. Another thing that changed a lot is that now we accept more and more virtual as real. We used to question when we had digital imagery, right? We questioned it. No, not so much. When we purchase a car, we don't really question that the car is going to look like it, right? We trust it. So more and more, we can say that we can give home shoppers the tools to experience their dream home as reality, but also give them control. So a few examples.
Mark, an interesting point on that.
Yeah.
There's almost no actual photography in an automotive website anymore.
That's true.
And yet nobody sits there and even recognizes that.
No.
When you're looking at the car and you're spinning it and you're changing the car, that's actually not a picture of a car at all. They're all models. And yet we've become completely accepting of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And compared to a model home, again, the uncertainty. How many, for builders there, how many times do we really sell the home exactly as modeled, right? It's done earlier. So to connect now to Quadra, one thing that we've done quite a few years ago, about 5-6 years ago with Zillow, and I'm going to talk again about differentiating or going at par with used homes. So often, if you look on Zillow listing and even on most home listings, what you see is a bunch of drop-ins for all the buying opportunities. One for the builder community, and interestingly enough, that Google Map representation dates years ago. The community we see here as basically a piece of dirt, maybe is almost completed today. That picture that we see on Google is 2-year-old. You're not really enticed to go visit that community. So one thing we developed with our good friend Ben at Zillow that we launched was called the Inline Community Preview, and that could be available also on other listings. But really, Zillow took the lead there, that we put a representation of the community in overlay. Simple, just a graphic, colorful graphic of taste, a general palette that represents, but that can put your community right there on the map. And a lot of statistics, right? So when you go into the map view looking for a community, which one you pick? The single red dot on a piece of dirt, or this one that shows you a finished community? Obviously, it gives also a temporary advantage. So this is a very easy solution already to go and compete at par at the earliest stage of home buyer search. Now, how many times did I hear that? I've been in this industry since the 90s, so you, Tim, as well. How many times we heard homes will never be sold online? Well, home buyers are consumers. I think in the industry for too long, we identified home shoppers as a different type of breed. They're just consumers. They're already influenced by any other product they purchase. And they're spoiled rotten. So we need to give them transparency and information. So again, to go back to anxiety, buying a car was an anxiety item before, but now we configure our car, we know the price, we go, and we're there at the dealership, and we just talk with the sales agent, just basically availability, delivery, and all those upgrades, protection of the paint, etc. But there's not that uncertainty. You know what you're getting. You're taking ownership of the process. So now, if we talk about buying homes online. So this is an example that I'm going to share that has been launched recently with one of our builder customers at Zonda, Taylor Morrison. And the goal is to sell homes online, but interestingly enough, selling homes online is just not taking a deposit, right? So let me share this. Let's see, video will play. Yeah. Okay, so you go on Taylor Morrison. This is a community Eves band. So first thing, you push on the lot map about the home site. Quick move-ins, important, right? You want to push those quick move-ins. Then in this case, I'm going through, picking a corner lot. I thought that was nice, the lake not too far. Then I can go through the different plans. I visualize the different plans. And you notice the price is updated as we go, like a car configurator. Again, I'm going to pick some interior options. And again, the price, transparency. No anxiety. I see exactly how much those options before I meet with the sales agent.
You know, all of our market research we've done for years in our industry says that price transparency is one of the huge problems in new homes.
Yeah.
You know, it's to your point, we're competing for these 5 million sales, and you've got hundreds of thousands of units out there that you know exactly what they'll take. And they get to new homes, and we say from $399, having no idea what the home actually costs.
Yeah.
And in some cases, we actually make you sign a contract before we'll even tell you what the options cost.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of crazy from that perspective.
It is, and again, remember that consumers are used already to a more transparent experience we need to go through. So I'm not able to actually skip through the video, but then you go through actually selecting. It's also about simplification, and I'm going to let it go through again. One thing about interior design and design packages and options, finishes, is that we want to offer the choice to consumers, but on the other end, we don't want to make it confusing or becoming something that, again, creates anxiety, right? So one of the ways that Taylor Morrison and a lot of builders actually do is creating first scale level based on the type of homes. And then after that, to have some designer palettes. I'm not a designer, I can tell you. You don't want me to start playing with this and creating a kitchen. But you see here, you have canvas, so you go by a price level. And after that, you go with different already personalized exteriors. Encore, Overture, Symphony, you pick one, and already you have a good start. The goal here is right online, you already started to see how fun it's going to be to personalize your home. So now individual options could be physical options, appliances, flooring, etc. And at the end, obviously, the key will be that we can actually to reserve and provide a deposit. And then the elevation, again, price, transparency. So when we talk about selling homes online, a lot of talk is made around the transactional part. It's actually the personalization part that is the key. So just going through now a few other opportunities we have to make it fun and interesting. So, okay, so we always say as a builder, I want them to come on site to feel the magic of the community. Really, let's look at this video here. So we did this for Shea Homes in Arizona, the community, and Meredith is actually here, one of their beautiful communities. And this is an experience where we built a VR. So right now, this is playing as a video, but actually I recorded it myself playing with the Xbox controller or a keyboard. And you really have the full community and experience the views. But on site, what is it? This is it, right? So our community where we feel that we need to bring buyers, listen, the views, there's nothing like being there, but it's a construction site. We need to admit that. In this case here, you have the opportunity to see any home on any lot based on the availability and configure them. And actually, after that, you have a very good opinion. In that community, actually, one of the buyers brought his architect. And they work together, designer, etc., just based on a virtual reality. People, as I said, start to trust more and more virtual reality. Now, getting to that point now, VR model homes versus model homes, built models. Well, the point here is that you can deliver this on the web right up front. Again, transparency, engagement, and letting a consumer go into the home start visiting at their pace and selecting finishes, packages, and give that experience early on. So after that, the visit in a sales center, which I really believe in the physical models is important, but it just complements already when they feel that they started to make their selections, which is a big difference. You have high quality. We talked again earlier about qualified buyers right now instead of quantity. This is how you can spend time with qualified buyers. And also as a sales associate, what I heard a lot using virtual, because they can use this also using a Zoom session. You have a lot of people shopping for inspiration, visiting models, right? It's could be quite a waste of time for sales associates. While somebody doing a Zoom session with you to review a model, I don't think they do that just for design inspiration. You have more qualified and a better use of sales associates' time, also focusing on the true buyers in the market.
Even to touch a hot button, it may also change sales associates' compensation.
Oh, interesting.
When you think about it, how qualified are you if you've already found your lot, you've already picked your plan, I've already picked a bunch of finishes. I'm not coming to the community to be sold. I'm coming for a confirmation visit. I just want to go out there to make sure it really looks that way and what the views really are, right?
Yeah.
At that point in time, the question is, how much compensation do you actually offer a salesperson? And do you change that, and can that then change the profitability of the builder? And I know that's kind of heresy, obviously, within the sales side of your staff, but we have to start thinking differently, and the auto industry has already dealt with this. The sales compensation of online auto sales is very different than the old, salesperson that was in the showroom.
Very good point, very good point. And also, if you think of a salesperson, you can also focus on the relationship you're building with that buyers, because we all know that before the home will be delivered, it is going to be a lot of hand-holding with them. And they can really see you as somebody not pushing to sell you a home, but really to be they're your partner in making and achieving it. So thank you, everyone.
All right, fantastic, Mark. We are going to very quickly have a very short little discussion regarding finance. And the key here is anxiety. And you brought it up. There's a lot of anxieties people about having to buy a home right now. Kedra made a very clear, I think, message to us that mortgage rates are probably one of the biggest issues because of affordability. I think there is an opportunity, and FBC, I think, agrees with me, that using finance as a strategic weapon can really position new homes very differently than used homes in this climate and give us a very significant market competitive advantage. So, Dot, if you'd take it away for just a moment, I think you have the remote control down by you down there. And then we're going to get to Q&A, so I hope you've written down your questions, so we're going to have a small panel after that. There you go.
Hope I didn't push it twice. If I did.
Oh, it's there.
The black one? Oh, it's there. Great. Hi, I'm Todd Boss. I'm the Chief Sales Officer at FBC Mortgage. We're headquarters in Orlando, Florida. We do business with about 95 builders across the United States. We're licensed in 49 states. We feel like we have a pretty good view of builder. We have 7 joint ventures with builders as well. What we have done is we said, hey, what if we can get a rate back to where you guys, the customer feels comfortable, and it's back in that market in that 4%, 4.99 rate range to get customers back interested in the home. Customers now are looking at payment. That's the biggest thing they look at. They don't look at interest rate as much. They're looking at what my payment's going to be. They don't really care as much about the price as they do the payment of the house. And of course, we want to look at avenues. How can we maintain the purchase price without lowering rate or lowering the price, which can cause some other conflict, which is appraisals and other things. And also, if someone across the street bought a house for $600,000 and all of a sudden they're selling the houses at $550,000, all of a sudden there's some conflict in that neighborhood. So we put together, and I've been in this industry for 30 years. I used to be the young guy, now I'm the old guy in the business, but we've seen rates over that 30 years. I've seen rates go up and down. This was probably the sharpest increase in rates we've seen ever. Before, probably the last time was in the early 80s before I got in the business.
I think that gets to this psychological issue. If this had crept up over a period of a year or so, I don't think we'd have quite the kind of the immune response that we're seeing in the market. But for this all to happen so quickly, I think it's creating this psychological resistance.
Oh, absolutely. So how can we get rates down to a level where they want to buy, or they're going to go look in a subdivision? And I think the competitive advantage that the builder has is that they can do a forward commitment. And most of you probably know what a forward commitment is, but I'll explain it to you real quickly if you don't. Forward commitment is we'll get with the builder and we'll buy a commitment of loan. So we'll buy money out of the market at, say, $5 million worth of money at an interest rate of 4.99%. We say it's on a conventional side with Fannie and Freddie. You're looking at a rate, it costs you at 4.99, would cost you about 6.5 points. In normal financing, if you were just trying to buy down the rate for a customer today, you couldn't do that because at a 95% financing, you only can contribute 3% toward buyer's closing costs or in prepaids. So in a forward commitment, we can buy it as a secondary market transaction. So the builder can pay those monies up front, and then that will take it out of the IPCs, which is their ability to pay those closing costs. And then it leaves them the ability to still pay that additional 3% on a 95% financing or 6% if it goes anything below that. So it gives the builder that advantage of going, hey, I want to go out there at 4.99%, and we're going to pay that up front. I'll also be able to pay additional closing costs at closing. And yes, those are additional costs, but we're talking about builders who are talking about doing a reduction of price of $25,000, $30,000 on a house. If you reduce that interest rate down to 4.99, pay that $25,000 or so or $30,000 instead of doing the price reduction, that saves that customer about $300 and something in their monthly payment versus only about $80 or $90.
Plus, you avoid all of the previous buyer anxiety that you create, and you have price stability in the market, which is a really important issue for builders.
Which is huge. And so, and we have done certain things with our builders with the 4.99% rate. They'll also do what we call as a 1.0 buy down. So basically, you can buy that interest rate down for 1 year to 3.99. So they can advertise that 3.99 rate for 1 year, and then it's 4.99 for the remaining amount of time. We also have provided with our builders saying, hey, why don't we'll do a free refinance if some reason rates drop down. We'll just take one objection away from that buyer is, hey, if rates drop, we'll refinance you for free. I say we'll cover all those closing costs just to keep that comfort level where the customer feels much more comfortable.
So, to summarize, think about this in the marketplace. Kadra said there's 5 million people that are going to buy, households that are going to buy homes this year one way or another, which means this weekend there are families out there that are saying, we have to buy a home. You're looking and you're seeing new homes going, we have 8 homes left this month before the end of the year, $399 for the first year, $499 thereafter, and we will refinance your home for free if rates drop. Or they can go look at all the used homes at 7%. Who are they going to go? You're going to get the visitors. You're going to get the traffic. We've spent 2 years of not having to fight for our business. We lost our sales skills. We lost our marketing skills. If we want to win this year, we've got to fight aggressively. And this is fighting aggressively. This is saying, I want every one of those 5 million families to consider new. And you put that message out there in front of them and fight for that business so that you get a shot at that apple. And that's how I think you use finance strategically to position new homes as something they have to look at. They owe it to themselves to look at that deal before they go buy a used home at 7%.
Absolutely. And especially with builders with standing inventory or just about finished homes, it is perfect timing. We do a 90-day commitment with them. It gives the customers 90 days to close, but as I think someone stated earlier, most people are looking between that 30 and 90-day window anyway to purchase a home. So it's perfect timing for them to really, for the builder to be aggressive with the rate. But by them paying that additional cost, you're putting them back in probably your margin range of $19.99. So the good thing is we have that margin in there. Most builders have that margin to pay for it right now.
Plus we have actually input material costs coming down right now substantially. So there's the opportunity here to create actually a huge competitive advantage in the marketing and the messaging using finance. Now I'm going to transition this to our panel discussion, but I'm going to continue this theme of anxiety because the next anxiety is, Todd, I love it. I need that 4.99 mortgage. It's perfect. The house, I love, right? I found it on Zillow. So I found it. I love it. I got the financing. I got to sell my house. And this is just a terrible market to sell the house. So it comes all the way down the end of the panel down there. The big question is, Opendoor revolutionized this whole idea of iBuying to make selling your home seamless, to have confidence, to know it's sold. I know how much I'm going to get. I don't have to worry about when I move in or how I move in. The elephant in the room, are you still buying homes?
We are absolutely
All
still
right,
buying
so
homes.
they're still buying homes. So if you don't have a partnership, right, with an iBuyer there to end that anxiety as well, you've got to have that piece of the puzzle here as well, because a lot of our buyers have homes to sell and they can still find their home, fall in love with their home, love the financing, qualify, it all works, but they get stuck with this anxiety of, I don't know when I could possibly get my home sold, I don't know what it's going to sell for. So you have to kind of finish the trifecta here and have a bulletproof way for them to be able to eliminate that anxiety. So I'm going to start off with one question and then we're going to get it out to the audience, so get your your questions ready. I'm going to come back to you because you're a registered agent in like six states or something, and all this kind of good stuff. And
We didn't talk about this.
And you got your real estate license 6 months ago when you graduated from high school, I heard?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep,
okay.
thank you.
But with all of that, what do you think that a builder needs to do to be noticed and overcome the anxiety and the objections in today's market? In other words, if you were going to be the marketing manager for a builder for a day, what would you tell them today? Here's what you really have to address in the marketplace in order to get the attention of the buyer and get on that consideration list.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about this as the week progresses, but
Excellent.
Great
We'll
way to kick it off.
Go
Sure.
to the session.
Rich media content. You have got to have rich media content on your listings. That means 3D tours, interactive floor plans, video, anything that you can do to help your listing stand apart and really bring that shopper into the fold. Because guess what? A lot of times new construction homes don't exist yet. So you've got to give a buyer everything that they need to help themselves envision themselves.
I can see Mark violently objects to that.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to open up some questions out there in the audience. Somebody has got a question. What do we have here? Oh, come on, don't be shy. Here we go, right over here, front table.
The virtual, modeling and that stuff is really great. From a new homes perspective, I one of the things I see missing is the presentation of affordability. Two buyers, that 3.99, financing or payments as low as $1,700 or whatever in there. Wouldn't it be nice, or is there a way to do that? Yeah.
Anybody want to comment?
You're asking how.
Presented. What about the affordability piece of it? Just out there as an idea for the consumer, so they can see, if I had 20% down, this payment is $1,800.
Yeah. So the biggest issue I see then gets to marketing. In general, builder marketing sucks. That's a technical term in digital marketing. Okay, it's an acronym that stands for something. No, it just sucks. We market like we're a commodity, like we're a bag of cement. Right?
Yeah.
We build homes. We sell cement. They're from $3.99. They're in 80-pound bags. You can buy them in Tacoma. You can get them at Home Depot. Right? That's what this is, like a commodity. We just tell this is what we sell, not why you should buy from us. Right? So the question is the digital advertisement that you're running today, are you in the market? Are you in Zillow right now with a digital ad saying new homes at 3.9% financing or new homes from $1,700 a month? Because that's going to drag people out of looking at existing listings and going, 1,700 months, that's my budget. I can afford that, and drags them over to your solution. The question is, our marketing, has our messaging changed? And we're going to have a whole discussion, which is our next panel, on messaging and marketing. So it's a perfect transition to our next panel. But I think that's the issue. We have to get more aggressive in our marketing, in the messaging that we use, and get out of this kind of commodity approach to how we market homes and how we advertise.
Tim, can I chime in here too?
Yeah.
So I think one of the words that we use, we don't like anti-anxiety. We're in sales, so we don't like to bring up the word anxiety. We call it peace of mind. So we really want to bring peace of mind to
Meaning lobotomy? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Not the other.
PEAC.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah, you grew up in the 70s. Come on, you know that type of thing.
Apologize.
So with peace of mind, I think a huge piece of that affordability is what the customer can sell their home for. And I think when we think about Opendoor and how we interact with builders, your customer absolutely wants an offer from Opendoor. They want to know, hey, what is the largest transactor of real estate? What is the largest cash buyer in this market willing to offer me? Because that's just a data point for them. So I think that's the other piece of affordability is, yes, I know what this home is selling for on this builder's website, but what can I sell my home for? And the first piece of data is an Opendoor offer for that customer to say, okay, that's my floor. That's where I can look at and start my shopping and say, if Opendoor is willing to offer me $550, I can go ahead and plug that in, and builders can use that data point as well to say, okay, this customer is being real about what they can afford, or they're absolutely shooting for a pie-in-the-sky number, and I should maybe look at interacting with a different customer.
Well, it gives them understanding. I now know for sure how much down payment I could have, how much mortgage I need. So it takes all of these unknown variables just out of the equation, whether they decide to transact with you or not.
Exactly, and some of the digital marketing that we're doing that I think is probably exciting to the folks in this room is we're really where we go out and engage a customer that's visited your sales center, visited one of your websites, and as they're getting hit with kind of that marketing that says, hey, come on back in, come view this new phase of our community, we're pairing that with an opportunity to get an offer on your Opendoor home. And if we have their address, we can actually give that customer an estimate on their home paired with that email. So now it's not just come look at this $600,000 home from Taylor Morrison, it's come look at this $600,000 home from Taylor Morrison, and Opendoor is willing to offer you $445,000 on your current home. And then that really starts to get the customer off the fence and potentially transacting.
Yeah, I gave you one more plug. You know, you kind of transformed the whole industry also with the ability of people to be able to see homes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without being accompanied by a realtor or a salesperson from the community. And it's been incredibly successful, and that is eliminating another point of anxiety, or at least friction in this connection. Yes, I want to be able to find it. Yes, I want to fall in love with it. Yes, I need to know. But they are going to go cruise the neighborhood. We know that kind of verification, visit is going to happen. And most of them want to do it without an escort. They want to do it on their own times, their own conditions, without somebody lording over them, right? And the ability to offer people self-guided tours is an important part of that. Opendoor pioneered it, but builders have the ability to install all of those self-guided tours. So be able to take all of your specs and models and have them open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that people can schedule those tours. Either UTour, EnterNow. There's a variety of different providers out there that can eliminate that anxiety and friction point as well to make that connection. You want to eliminate every possible rock in the stream, every friction point along here, so that every buyer puts you on their interest list and gets to the point of deciding that they actually want to go on that confirmation visit.
One caveat, we did change that to 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. because we found the folks visiting the homes at midnight were not
neighborhood friendly.
Night doctors that really needed to have that time to visit, but probably not the best actors. So we shut that off at 9 p.m.
Self-tour is actually something Zillow is going all in on as well. We've been kind of quietly piloting it. We launched it at a horrible time when no builders had spec inventory last year. And we've looked at the data and the demand, and it's the thing that people are asking us for the most. Yep. And so more information to come on that, but we're all in.
All right, well, everybody give this panel an incredible round of applause. Fantastic, thank you, everybody.